meeting for all day. I have the heavy responsibility to come and share on his behalf some thought on the matter, space education and capacity building. This is what it is about. And when we say space education or capacity building, I would add on it capacity development and utilization. It is very important. When you develop people, you have to be able to utilize them properly and efficiently. Therefore, we will cover all the angles of the capacity building. Quickly, the African Union Commission is in the space business because of the relevancy of space for the African socio-economic development. And it is embedded in the Agenda 2063, which is the African compass towards the development for the upcoming 40 years. It started in 2013, I think. That being said, space being in the heart, we developed an African space policy and strategy that are guiding all the activities on space matters. The African Union Commission's involvement in space arena is guided by the African space policy and strategy developed and adopted by the African 55 countries through the head of state and government. Then the African space is to one of the biggest segments of the African Agenda 2063, which is the Science, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Africa. We call it STISA 2024. Therefore, we are covering 4 segments: Earth observation, satellite communication, navigation, positioning and timing, and astronomy and space science per se. The outer space program, the African outer space program, will be covering all these 4 segments. Then the quick context is that Africa is almost starting from the scratch. There were some countries, a very few countries, South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, and to some extent, Morocco, which were there. But the big chunk of the African countries are now coming on board. And this will happen with you, because those who are the pioneers of space in Africa are advocating to convince decision makers, policy makers, telling them it is good. That is our role. We are selling it. We are advocating. But those who should implement it, who should take it to another level, it's you, young people. The future resides in you. Therefore, the opportunity to share experience with you, the opportunity to develop your skill set, the opportunity to strengthen your capacity and capability, for us, these are more than the priorities. What is the landscape? We have inadequate infrastructure. Inadequate, not because the infrastructures we already have are not working properly, but they are not numerous with respect to our needs. Secondly, we need to upgrade many of them, mainly on the Earth observation side. The other components are almost, I would say, empty. SATCOM, navigations, there are only a few, and we can count that on our fingers. The network, you know, Africa is one of the weakest connectivities in the world. And the space business doesn't work without connectivities. There is hope, with the new space development of multiple satellites that will be launched to increase and to improve the connectivity. But at the same time, we should innovate currently to be able to address the current priorities. Low human capital development. This is where we will focus our intervention this morning, because this is what it is about. As I said, it is not only about development, it is also about utilization. That is very important because we've seen some African experts being very well trained in space arena and space matters, but doing something else. And the reasons are numerous. We have to make sure that we are reducing these loss because we are losing them. I will not go through all these things. I would just say that the capital development in Africa is critical. What are the challenges we are facing? The first one is Africa needs to develop the critical mass. Sometimes you have projects and you do not have experienced or very well qualified staff to undertake the project. That is very important. Secondly, we have to be able to shift from the traditional ways to do business in space to the new ways to do business in space. What does it mean? Traditionally, we are pure science and technology-oriented community. Now we have to look at how to deliver services. This is what it is about. When you are talking to a decision maker, when you are talking to a policy maker, when you are talking to politicians, they will tell you, my problem is to find water for my population. They don't care about all the science behind. Don't explain that to them. What they want to hear from you, which will allow them to support you, is to tell them, oh, I can help you to quickly find the water, even to improve the quality of the water. I can help you to reduce the investment when we are looking for the appropriate area to dig to get some water. These are the kind of things you want to understand. You tell him that, knowing that behind all these things, you have your space science, you have your space technologies. Then he will ask you, how do you think I can help you? You can tell him, give me money. You can tell him, I want you to make space as one of the program priorities for the country. I want you to train more young people. Then he will follow you. That is how it should work at your level. The mobile phone you have, all people know, we experts, we all know, even yourself here, that there is a lot of science, space science behind. But when you go to the citizen on the road, he doesn't care about all that. What he wants is to make his call, to have his WhatsApp, to text. He doesn't care about your signal transmission, all this kind of business behind. All to say, we have to train people. They move from the traditional way to the service development. Therefore, the curricula should be adapted to that. The entrepreneurship we are talking about, we have to tell our young people that the government and the state will not be the only employer. They have to think of creating their own enterprise. The innovation in space arena is coming from two big units, from academia and from the private sector. Mainly academia does the research and development, and the private sector transform this research and development to services. Young people should keep it in mind when they come to space. Therefore, GMS in Africa, which is one of the continental, I would say the first really continental Earth observation program, jointly funded by the European Commission and the African Union Commission. It is 30 million euro program for 3 years. We are ending the first phase this year in December, and the second phase will start immediately for other 3 to 4 years, funded by AUC and European Commission. I would say we look at the landscape and we said GMS in Africa should be the laboratory to overcome and to face the capabilities, the training, the human capital developments. What are we doing under GMS? We first develop a training strategy. And the training strategy is very important. It is to say, okay, this is what we want to reach and how together we go there. Therefore, this strategy is available for you guys to access. We also put some principles. As you can see, there are 3 types of training: the online one, the classroom, and on-the-job training. The needs are different from a person to another person. But the combination of these 3 types will for sure provide you with ammunitions to start taking off, either as a private sector, either as a public servant, either as a researcher. What we did, we didn't want to start from the scratch. We built on the existing programs and institutions. We also focused our intervention on the trainers. You train the trainers, and the trainers will be in a very good position to train more young people. Then we create awareness. We have to attract young people for space matters. Because when you talk about space, people think that you are going to the moon. You want to become astronaut. It is not about that. Oh, you need to be very, very strong in mathematics and physical science, all these kind of things. No, me, I'm doing communication, I'm a lawyer. No, space includes all these areas. We have to tell people the space law, it is empty in Africa. That is the truth. The communication on space matters. We need communication people. And all areas of, I would say knowledge, they have their place in space community. We want the data to be involved in the training. And the open source software, it is very important. Open source is giving or providing opportunities to us to access for free to several tools, to several equipment, to several knowledge. Why don't we use them? We have to create the opportunity to provide Africans access to several tools to be able to do their work. ICT, leveraging the Earth observation. We are encouraging the consortia working under GMS. We have 12 consortia made up of more than 120 institutions covering 45 countries. We are encouraging the consortia to use young people for the startup. But at the same time, before forgetting, it is mandatory for each consortium to make sure that at least 2 students graduate from this program. They have to fund them. They have to guide them. They have to give them opportunities to grow in practical situation. Achievement, I will not go through all these things. In terms of number, over 1,000 trainees over 30 masters and PhD scholarships. This is what it is about with GMS in only 3 years. What does it mean? We can do more. It is possible. These are the different platforms for your consideration in terms of training. And we have created for Earth observation matters, the digital learning platform. The example of GMS is just for Earth observation. We would like to continue doing the same for each of the segment. It is very important. Usually the discussion is about the downstreams and the upstreams. Where should we focus our intervention? I would say on both, but we are in a context where we need to convince decision makers. Therefore, we have to increase the focus on the downstreams. This is because this is what is talking to them now. The upstreams, yes, we have to build with the time. It is about sovereignty. It is about freedom. Africa should be by itself, based on its young people. Africa should be able to build its own satellites to be part of the nations building all the streams. It is clear that any single country in the world can afford all the streams of the space alone. Be United States, be Canada, be France, be Germany, be Japan, be China, India. All these big players are working together. One doing one component, another one doing the other component. 55 African countries can afford that. We should not duplicate. You have to learn how to avoid duplications, because duplications comes with loss of money, loss of energy, less efficiency. Together, we are on the same boat. We also are learning from you. You have to be in the driver's seat. You young people, we will stand with you, but your future belongs to you. It's up to you to tell people, to tell leaders where you want to land based on their experience. With the means they have, they will accompany you. I will stop here. On behalf of Dr. Mahama, once again, we want to thank all the organizers of this important and relevant event for inviting the African Union Commission. And the African Union Commission, as you know, stands for youth. We are looking for the 1 million initiative. 1 million young people should be trained. That is one of our key priorities. Thank you very much. This is Tidiane Ouattara on behalf of Dr. Mahama. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tidiane. Next on our list is Prof. Melvin from the Development in Africa with Radio Astronomy, and also a lecturer at the University of Leeds. Prof. Melvin, can unmute yourself and start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just need to be able to share my screen. Oh, yeah, good. Okay, everyone hear me? Everyone see my screen? Okay, yes. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. So I'd like to tell you about a human capital development project that I've been running over the last 5 years called the Development in Africa with Radio Astronomy, the DARA project. It's been mentioned a few times already. Many of the organizers here in the meeting have been through this program already. So the DARA project is a joint UK-South African project, and it's funded by this sort of novel use of the UK's overseas aid budget for scientific collaboration, so called the Newton Fund. And so we've received £4.3 million of UK funding over the last 5 years. So the project has just been extended to the end of this calendar year so that we can complete our project. Match resources have been put in by South Africa, but the aim of this project was to train a first generation really of radio astronomers in the 8 African partner countries that are partnering with South Africa to host the Square Kilometre Array project, which is the major next generation world's radio telescope. So the training is delivered by experts coming from the UK and South Africa and going into the various countries in Africa. Now, a key part of the Newton Fund is that any project funded by the Newton Fund has to result in sort of economic development for the developing countries that it's targeting. And to that aim, we have partnered with space industry partners, both in the UK and in South Africa. And so in the UK, our partners are a new sort of SME entrepreneurs called Goonhilly Earth Station Limited. You can see there, this is the site in the far southwest of the UK. It's an old Earth Station site with several big dishes, many small dishes. Their core business is satellite communications, but we were already partnering with them to turn the big dishes into radio telescopes in a very similar way that has been happening in Africa and has already happened in Ghana. So these partners really bring that experience in entrepreneurship. They built this business up from scratch. We also partner with SANZA from South Africa, again, to the more large sort of organization, again, to show how the skills that you learn in radio astronomy can be translated directly into jobs and wealth creation in the space industry. There we go. Okay, so what do we actually do? So we have what we call a basic training program. So we've been recruiting 10 students per year in each of these 8 African countries and delivering intensive courses over the course of a year. The recruits usually have a good first degree in physics or another relevant subject, computing, mathematics, engineering. And really you can think of this as a sort of taster course or a conversion course to convert someone who's got a good scientific education but never done any astronomy into a radio astronomy knowledge. So it's obviously we teach them a lot of astrophysics, but also we, and more importantly for this meeting, give them a lot of technical training. So we take them to either Hartebeestuk Radio Astronomy Observatory in South Africa or the new dish at Kutunze in Ghana. And there the trainees get real hands-on experience of the sort of telescopes, instrumentation that is required for radio astronomy, but again, very similar technology used in the space business. They also get computer training in sort of Linux and Python, so that, again, very useful transferable skills. And they also get trained in data handling and reduction with radio astronomy data. We've supplied computer labs to each of our partner institutions across Africa. And towards the end of that training, then we bring everyone together in a networking meeting so that we can build this kind of Pan-African collaboration of people interested in radio astronomy and applying things to the space sector. So at that meeting, they meet the experts, the entrepreneurs, the industry representatives, and hear about all the different opportunities that are open to them going forward from the training that they receive. As well as the basic training program, we also have an advanced training program at master's and PhD levels. So we've been funding students to come to the UK and to South Africa. You can see some of the UK trainees here down at visiting the Goonhilly Earth Station with the CEO, Ian Jones, here. And some of the PhDs are also doing highly technical work. This is a receiver feed horn built by one of the students in our partner universities at Oxford in the UK. And these are real state-of-the-art cryogenic receivers. So an important extra part of the DARA project is really to encourage the young people to come up with ideas for how they can apply what they've learned during the DARA training program into creating new businesses and new opportunities. It was said right at the start of this meeting that young Africans are often very interested in making money, and sometimes that was put against the expense of perhaps pursuing further education. Here, I think we can try and do both. Use the inspiration, the skills that they get from a training program like this to encourage them to make money and create jobs. So just a few examples here. This is Victor from Zambia, who had a background in engineering, civil engineering really. So after the DARA program, he was inspired to use his new knowledge in sort of computing and remote sensing to try and expand his business, and formed a new business with some of his university classmates. Here's Esther from Zambia as well. So she did a master's project on the GNS in South Africa. And then when she returned to Zambia and found out there was only one GNS station in the whole of Zambia, she's determined now to add more GNS stations to Zambia to get a good terrestrial location mapping going there, and aid and then sell those services to infrastructure projects. And more recently, Emmanuel and Johannes from Ghana have won their own funding now to get a data center business off the ground and locate it actually in the Ghana radio astronomy buildings here at Katunze in Accra. And so this is exactly what we want to really encourage in the DARA project. So we have this vision sort of coming out of the Carla Sharp's SK South Africa team. You heard from Carla yesterday. This idea that these old Earth station sites that are being redeveloped for radio astronomy and the coming of the SKA are also excellent centers for embedding space sector investment and innovation. They should have stable power and fast fiber connections. That's what we need in order to run a radio observatory. But it's also what you need for satellite communications, whether it's low Earth orbit or these big dishes can actually communicate with deep space probes. One of the Goonhilly dishes is becoming the world's first private DSN dish. They often have big buildings built previously, legacy buildings, perfect for data centers. Once they're refurbished, you can put the kit in here. You've got the connectivity, you've got all that data coming in from space. Then if you couple that with people who are keen to address local challenges with sort of Earth observation data and skills in AI and big data, then you've got a perfect combination to really generate new jobs and attack developmental challenges in African countries. Now, some of that requires investment, as the previous speaker, who I thought gave an excellent overview of the situation. This requires investment in the facilities, the fiber connections, and the data center equipment. We can come in and help with the human capital development, and then we can really start this moving forward. So just to summarize, then by the end of this year, the DARA project will have trained over 250 young people. We'll have had about 28 master's students, 9 PhDs trained, and we are actively building up from the bottom up new businesses, getting group development projects going, and trying to aid this idea of co-locating services with these radio astronomy sites and in the space sector. So we want to be able to establish sustainable radio astronomy space sector hubs in each of the 8 SKA partner countries. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Melvin, for this wonderful presentation. Our next presenter is Nassim Bouvet from the International Space University. Nassim, you can unmute and start your presentation.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you today. We have ISU, International Space University, has a long time partnership with SJC. So we are delighted to be part of this event, and thanks to all the organizers. So let me just share my screen. Okay, can you see my presentation? I assume it's okay?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Okay.
So I'll make a short presentation of ISU here, and then I will mention the scholarships that we are offering to African students this year. So what is ISU? ISU was founded in 1987 by 3 young visionaries at MIT. And the idea was to create a university only dedicated to space. So we were founded in 87. We had our first space studies program in 88. A few years later, in 95, we relocated to Strasbourg, France as our headquarters, and we had our first Master of Space Studies. In 2002, we had a brand new building which was opened. 2003, our first executive space course. Since 2004, we have been officially accredited by the French Ministry of Education. Since 2011, we have a program in Australia, especially for the South Hemisphere. So we have one for the North Hemisphere in the summer of the North Hemisphere and one in the South Hemisphere. Since 2015, we have a MSS Year B, a research thesis offered. We also have a program in Florida now called the Commercial Space Program. In 2019, we launched the ISU Incubator and Booster, which I will speak a bit more about in a few minutes. And in 2020, we had our first online interactive space program. What ISU does is really train the future leaders of the space sector. We always speak about the 3 I's. We are international, interdisciplinary, and intercultural. And our students and participants come from all countries and all backgrounds. 80% of our ISU alumni work in the space sector today. So once you attend an ISU program, you become a member of a huge network of leading space experts and professionals. To go more in detail in our program, the Master of Space Studies is a 1-year program always held at ISU Central Campus in Strasbourg, France, with an optional 2nd year for research thesis. The Space Studies program, SSP, is a 2-month program which is held every summer in a different country. The Southern Hemisphere Space Studies program, which I mentioned, is a 5-week program held always in Adelaide, Australia. Usually it's on-site, but it was exceptionally held online in 2021. We just ended in Australia. The Commercial Space Program is a 6-week hybrid program in Florida. And the Executive Space Course is a 1-week course, especially for companies, held 3 times per year in France, Australia, and the United States. On this map, you can see all the SSP host sites since 1988. As you can see, we have been many times in North America, several times in Europe, where we are based, and a few times in Asia. We were also twice in the South Hemisphere, but now we have our dedicated program for the South Hemisphere. The upcoming SSP will take place exceptionally in 2 locations at the same time, in Granada, Spain, and Strasbourg, France. And we will also have an online version for this program. So technically, it's almost 3 locations. The latest space studies program on site was in 2019 in Strasbourg, France, because in 2020, it was only online, given the situation. You can see on this chart a few statistics. As you can see, roughly an SSP includes about 120 participants from all over the world, usually about 30 different countries. In terms of backgrounds, our participants come from really from all backgrounds. We have about half engineers and then the other half is composed of all the other space disciplines. And as mentioned was by another speaker recently, space is not just for engineers and scientists. It's also for business and management people, people who are doing policy and law, people who are doing life science, who are doing humanities, IT. Anybody can work in the space sector and contribute with their knowledge and skills. Regarding the SSP, the Space Studies Program, it's over 9 weeks. During the first 3 weeks, you have core lectures in the morning on all aspects of space, and then workshops in the afternoon. During the second phase, you focus on one departmental activity of your choice. And then in phase 3, you work on team projects together with your classmates. You can choose between usually 3 to 4 different team projects. Regarding the departments you can choose from, these are space business and management, human performance in space, space policy and law, space physical science, space applications, space engineering, and space humanities. The Southern Hemisphere Space Program, which I mentioned, took place this year online from January 18 to February 19. Next year, we expect it to resume its activities on site. Regarding the Master of Space Studies, MSS, you usually have about 40 to 50 students from about 20 countries, again, coming from all over the world. In terms of background, similar as the SSP, you have about 50% of engineers and then all the other disciplines. The Masters lasts about 12 months. First, you have a module introduction to space. Then you go more in detail in all the space disciplines in our module 2. In parallel, you work on team projects with your classmates, and you have an individual project. Then you have the electives, which you can choose from a bit à la carte. And finally, the internship. I was lucky enough to be myself in the Masters about 20 years ago. And I did my internship at NASA, Kennedy Space Center, for example, which was an amazing experience. But you can also do it at the European Space Agency, another space agency, or the space industry. In terms of team projects, there are many you can choose from. Some are more dedicated to space exploration, some more towards helping life on Earth, like Earth observation, disaster management, or many other team projects. If you go on our ISU library website, you can see all the reports. They are freely accessible, and they detail all the reports made by our participants and students since the last 32 years. In terms of actual hard facilities at ISU in Strasbourg, we have for radio astronomy an X-band antenna. We have a concurrent design facility, which allows us to design spacecraft much faster and cheaper. We have a tracking and ground station, so we can track the nanosatellites sent to space by our students, for example. We have a real space capsule. It's a Russian capsule, which was we got from the Russian Space Agency. We have a self-deployable habitat for extreme environments, or SHE. It's basically a little space house you can use to simulate future Moon and Mars missions in analog environments. In terms of research, we have a lot of research activities at ISU. I will mention only here the experiments which were designed by our students and sent to space to the International Space Station. The latest one, Hydra 3, is still in the ISS and will return to the Earth on January 2022. For our alumni who want to start their own space company, we have an incubator and booster at ISU. So we provide help to find funding for space startups, and we also provide free offices for a temporary duration until the startup has fundraised enough funds. Globally, the ISU alumni community has now reached 5,000 alumni from over 110 countries. As you can see, they cover the whole planet, but we still have some areas in gray to cover, particularly in Africa. We want to get more students and professionals, young professionals from Africa. Examples of ISU alumni, of course, we need to mention astronauts. So Jessica Mayer did the MSS in 2000, and she's now a NASA astronaut. She was on the ISS very recently, and she's now part of the Artemis group, which might return to the moon in the coming years. But there are plenty of alumni working everywhere in the space sectors, in many important positions in North America, in Europe, in Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa, in Oceania and Latin America. Focusing a bit on Africa, we have very significant alumni of ISU who work in Africa. Val Munsami did SSP09 and is now the CEO of SANSA in South Africa. Francis Chisea did MSS01. He was one of my classmates. He's now the acting director general of NASDAR, the Nigerian Space Agency. Abibola Alale did also an SS01 in my class and is now the CEO of NINCOMSAT. Peter Martinez is the executive director of Secure World Foundation. He's from South Africa. We also have Sias Mostert in the SCS Aerospace Group and Timibi Aganaba, who is working in the Arizona State University. Here on this slide, you can see all the many logos of organization where our alumni work. So they work for NASA, for ESA, for CASC in China, for ISRO in India, for JAXA in Japan, for CSA in Canada, for CNES in France, Australian Space Agency, SANSA, I mentioned, UAE Space Agency. This is for space agencies, but there are many others. And for the space industry, we have alumni working at SpaceX, Airbus, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Blue Origin, Planet. The founder of Planet is also an alumni. Spire, CSIRO, NICOMSAT, etc. If you're interested in learning more about ISU, just go on our social networks, the ISU Facebook page, but also LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, etc. A word on our chancellors. We have presidents at ISU, but we also have chancellors. Arthur C. Clarke was the first one. And then we had Jean-Jacques Dordain, who was DG of ESA previously. Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon, was a chancellor of ISU until recently. And now Pascal Ehrenfreud is our chancellor. She used to be the DLR CEO. Before coming to the end of my presentation, I have to mention applications to our programs. So you can see here the fees for our programs. But we have scholarships for these programs, and we are very happy to offer this year 6 scholarships, significant scholarships for African applicants to our programs. So we are offering 3 scholarships for the Space Studies program and 3 scholarships for the master program. So these scholarships are partial, so our candidates will have to fundraise the remainder of the fees, hopefully through local sponsors, maybe in Africa. You can see the applications here for the SSP, the masters, and the other programs. But please, if you're applying for the special scholarships of this year, please follow the guidelines given to you by SGAC about applying to ISU programs. So thank you again. If you have any questions, you have the email address here, and I am at your disposal for any further inquiries. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Nazim, for this nice presentation. Our next presenter is Dr. Gladys from MIT. She is replacing Dr. Daniel Wood. Dr. Gladys, unmute yourself and start your presentation.
Hello and good morning. So my time is 5 a.m. So I will try and be as loud as I can. My voice is still picking up. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So we had an almost last minute swap with Dr. Daniel Wood, who was supposed to join this panel. But anyway, I must say excellent presentations this morning from the previous speakers. And I, as a young professional coming up in space sector, I've learned a lot and I've been making a lot of notes. So thank you. My name is Gladys Ngetich from Kenya, and I'm currently working as a postdoctoral fellow at MIT and Professor Daniel Wood, who is leading Space Enabled. So I thought, I have very brief slides, only 2. So I will take maybe 6 minutes or 7 minutes. I thought of including this slide because it speaks directly to the need of training, the training need, more so raising awareness, and what now, what we are currently doing with Professor Daniel Wood, especially in Kenya, to raise awareness. So I was born and I grew up in Kenya. I did most of my schooling in Kenya, undergraduate from Jomo Kenyatta University in Nairobi, and I did mechanical engineering. And then I got a scholarship and I flew to the UK to do my postgrad, where I completed my PhD in 2019. And my PhD was in aerospace, aeronautics in particular, and I was studying better ways of cooling aircraft engines. And it's interesting that, so when the previous speaker was speaking about training needs and the need to raise awareness, is because I'm a product of raising awareness. So while I was doing my PhD in the UK and kind of asking myself, where am I going to take my skills in Africa? Because I wanted to serve the continent. And believe me, that was about 3 years ago. And I had no idea that my skills, or that as a mechanical engineer, I had I had an opportunity to work in space sector. I barely had any idea on how big space sector in Africa is, and how my skills can be harnessed. So anyway, I came to know about Professor Daniel Wood and the work she's been doing, especially in research, and mostly focusing on, or constantly asking the question of how can we use space science, space technologies to directly address sustainable development goals. And when I came across the video, she gave a TED talk, and she was talking about these 6 technologies: satellite navigation, satellite positioning, microgravity research, technology transfer, and so on and so forth, and direct and practical examples on how these technologies are helping sustainable development goals. So like quality education, for instance, by use of satellite communication, and so forth and so on. So anyway, my big question then was, how do I now shift? I was interested now in using my skills to transition to space sector, particularly focusing on what is going on in the continent. So my big question was then, how do I transfer my skills from aeronautics, aircraft engine cooling, to space? And around the same time, coincidentally, there was a fellowship. It's still quite new. It's called Schmidt Science Fellowship. And it was challenging early career professionals to try and move out of their comfort zone. So if you've been doing a PhD in aerospace engineering, they challenged you to try something else. And at that time, I just saw a perfect opportunity for me to move from aircraft engine cooling to now what I'm doing at Space Enabled. And that's how I moved from the UK to now US. And I'm now 6 months here in Boston area at MIT, where I am working as a postdoc in Space Enabled, which is a research group at MIT headed by Professor Daniel Wood, who was supposed to give this talk today. But anyway, so her research group is looking particularly on these 6 technologies that can directly or indirectly help to address sustainable development goals. And I think it's been the theme of this morning on how we can use this, or how we can even train people on the continent to use these technologies to help solve problems. So I thought of just giving this example because it's a example of space education and human capacity development, example of where I'm directly involved. So I'm talking like 2 months into the conversations. So Jomo Kenyatta University is the university I did my undergrad in, and I have some contacts there. And then Kenya Space Agency is still very young, established 2018, and it just launched its strategic plan in November of 2020. So anyway, through my connections, when we were having a conversation with Danielle Wood, and the first thing I was just telling her when I was sharing my story was that there is need to raise awareness, because personally, if I knew I could use my skills as an engineer in space sector, I think I would have made this move much earlier. But it's still okay that I made this move. But I just know that, especially in Kenya, there are so many students who are wondering, okay, I'm going to do space science or space engineering. There aren't any space sectors in Africa because they just don't know. So most of them, they have no idea what's going on in space sector in Africa. And we thought the first thing is just training and raising awareness, just giving a speech and saying, hey, this is what I did. I did law and I'm working in space sector. And through those conversations, you get students interested, and they may want, like the earlier speaker was saying, they get interested and they want to do this for their postgrad. They want to do a postgrad in space-related sector, or they want to start a venture. And the earlier, obviously, the better. So this is what we're working on. We want to establish seminars that we will start with the university where I have connections, and we're hoping to increase to many other universities, and we can just give talk and invite people in space sector to talk about what they're doing, just to inspire. And they're also like, currently we are in communication with Jomo Kenyatta University to do a collaboration on some of the numerical simulations that we're working on and experiments that Space Enable is currently doing. We also have conversation with Kenya Space Agency on how we can do collaboration on some of the projects that are going on. So I thought of sharing this as just an example of some of the space education or human capacity development that I personally am involved at the moment. And that just to highlight that there is need to do that, and that I'm a product of that someone raised awareness about space, what's going on in space sector in Africa. And that is the end of my presentation. And I have to thank Space Enable for giving me this chance to learn new things in space sector. I'm new in this area and I'm learning a lot every day. And I want to thank Schmidt Science Fellowship, because that is through Schmidt Science Fellowship, I was able to make a shift from aeronautics to now more space-related research. So thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure being here, and I'm learning a lot.
Thank you for Dr. Gladys for this wonderful presentation. Our last presenter for this session is Dr. Zamzaka from the South Africa Radio Astronomy Observatory. Dr. Zamzaka, can you please unmute and start your presentation?
Thank you so much. Would you mind to allow me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Can you see my screen? Can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen and hear you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone here in South Africa. The time now is 12 o'clock, so it's our afternoon, or it's still a good morning in Ghana. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of the Fourth Africa Space Generation. I'm from Sereo. My name is Mtutu Zeli Zamkaka. Maybe you can just call me Mtutu, just for easy calling. And then from Sereo, responsible for research capacity development. We are under Department of Science and Technology. And then we work with also our Africa partner countries. So just to give you a background, why SKA first? SKA, we are searching the origin of the universe, how the universe began in the first place. So those who read the Bible, I think Quran as well, will indicate that when God created, he created the heaven and earth, and the earth was dark and there was nothing. And then he spoke and there was light, and then there was life. So same with the theory, the Big Bang theory, which indicates that there was ignition of a particle, and then there was a universe that was created, the galaxies and the planets, and life began. So now we are searching how then this life began and this universe began, and where is it going? What is amazing is that we are finding that the universe is expanding in an accelerated rate, and where does it go? We do not know. But what now is challenging us is the energy that we do not know. 75% of the dark energy we do not know, 21% of the dark matter we do not know, only 4%. So we need a lot of researchers who are going to come, especially young people, and discover how do we explore the universe. We use these tools that are the telescopes that have been put in here. So I think it was 2018 when we discovered what is this, the black hole, when the black hole was mapped by Event Horizon Telescope, and then which was prophesied by Einstein. But it was difficult to map it because everything that goes into the hole disappears, it doesn't come back. And then it was good that then it was found. But people now are asking why everything goes in there. Is it because maybe it's the hell that the Bible talks about, that whoever doesn't believe in God will go through? So we need to find out as scientists, whether is it just an event that happened in space, or is it what was prophesied in the Bible? So we have a lot of work, to do as scientists. And these are the telescopes that we have at SKA. They are based in Canavan, which is where there is less radio frequency interference as compared to the country. So this is the space where the telescopes were built. This is Justin here and Fanor Rod, where the beginners or the pioneers of the SKA in South Africa. So we started with 7 telescopes, which helped us to bid for hosting the SKA in 2010, where then we won 70% in South Africa and 30% was in Australia. Then we started the Meerkat telescope, which is about 25% of the first phase. And currently the Meerkat is in demand. A number of international countries, many countries, they want to have a space in telescope. They are local organization and universities that work with us. I think SANSA spoke yesterday, CHPC, some of you know, and then international universities and companies as well that work with us. We have international projects that work, that we have CBAS, AVN, which is there to make sure that we have network of telescopes in Africa. We have Ghana, for example, telescopes with telescope which we instituted. What is SKA? Just for those then, because I can see that it's mostly space science that is in here. What is SKA? SKA simply is just data handling. We are handling data. It will create a group of young scientists and engineers that will have expertise, in technologies. Is starting now to coming back, to 10 to 10 years in coming. So it's more about data handling. It's because there's so much data that we get from these telescopes, such that, one day of data that we get can fit 11 million DVDs. That's how much data that we are getting every day. So we need, a good storage capacity. And I'm glad that one of this, the beehive that you see here, is one of our graduates that innovated and come up with that data storage which we are using. I'm not going to spend time in that. And then this, when we are constructing the telescope, how does the way the telescope works, the radio telescope. We receive radio waves from the sky, and then it's reflected from the dish and trapped by the entire, and then it goes to your computer, and then you have your graphs with you have to interpret and have an image. And this is one of the images that we got from the Meerkat telescope, which I think was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And why the SKA? Very, very important, because it has got a high resolution. You can see in that image, we have a Blair image in this side, which is a normal telescope, but SKA, then you can see finer details. And also it can surface or observe a bigger part of the universe. And then it's also because of many telescopes that we have. And the resolution or sensitivity that you see, you can see the normal telescope, you don't see finer details, but with the SKA, you see details. So this is a very, very powerful machine that we are developing. And then last year we received one telescope which for the SKA, which we are building to, we're starting on. And now what happened, we said we have this project that has been placed in South Africa, in Africa, and then we must build capacity for students that are going to work in these telescopes. And then we are currently now through HCD program, building engineers, skilled engineers, scientists and technicians and artisans that are going to build, operate and use these telescopes. Our strategy is to find young people that we are going to attract into so that they can discover new things in the universe and then be called Einstein, Galileo, and all that, and also be involved in the project that is attracting the whole world and change the way the world speaks. And of it, this aligns with the goals put forward by the African Union Science, Technology Innovation Strategy for 2024, where it needs that young people must be provided with education and training and skills, preparing them for the new opportunities for the new market, and also increase graduates' employability and their sense of entrepreneurship, because our graduates, they pass their degrees, but there's no work because the skills that they are getting in the university are not making them to be accessible. And lastly, the last one, they're promoting women into science, technology, innovation skills so that they can take leadership as well in the digital economy. Yesterday, there was a robust discussion about why women, they only end in the first phase of their studies, not going beyond to your postdoc, postgrads studies. So this is what now, which is we must embark ourselves to make sure that we have women coming into our part. So then the HCD, we start from schools, nurturing these students from school, and then University of Technology, universities, and then strategic partnership with the African partner countries and other countries. And then we have Chantel who deals, we take the students and put them in the high school in Canavan, and then those who pass, we go with them with bursaries. And then university technologies, where we build artisans and technicians that are going to operate and maintain these telescopes. These are some of the diploma graduate in engineering. Bonita with strategic partnership, I think Ivan or Melvin spoke about DARA, and then which then also fund this program. And then these are some of the areas where these graduates go to, but there's still also a lacking behind of women in this program, which is a strategic partnership. Women are still, not at the level we want to do. There are some data trainings that we have conducted. Melvin mentioned at Hadraw and Ghana, and then CHPC as well, helping with those. We have also in Cape Town in 2017, we had workshops that we had 40 participants, and then 26, and then 2019. 2020 was challenging. We didn't have any training. Some of you who are watching now might see yourselves who attended one of these trainings. So coming myself with the university program, which I handled 10 programs from undergraduate to visiting professors into our university in the country. So what I do, I identify these students at undergraduate and skill them so that we can have postgrads and postdocs that are going to work in this. So we have now the statistics just now in closing. The statistics that we have now since we started the program, we have 9 students that started the program, and then now we are about 130 1,357 students that we have given bursaries. You can see most of them are masters, PhD, undergraduate that are graduating, and they are at these universities. Why these universities have got now high numbers, it is because we have such research chairs and research groups, and which is a good environment to retain our students, like Stellenbosch, Rhodes University, most students are there. And even in this program, female are also in a challenge. And then we have partner countries that also we fund. You can see Madagascar, Kenya, Mauritius as well are enjoying a lot of funding, but we have spoken with our partner countries. The governments now must prepare, some funding, because the funding currently comes from South African taxpayers' money. Engineers are coming up very well, which is great. They were lagging behind. And the graduation rate is very good, because about 82% average, of which is above our South African, which is 50 to 60. But the challenge is that we have a number of BSc that goes to honors, but after honors, they disappear in the system. They don't go to masters, PhDs, but PhDs, we see them going to postdoc. In conclusion, then we have number of them, they come to SK or NRF related business units, some universities, some industries. Closing with this now by the President of South Africa, who said, we are looking forward innovation and creativity and new ideas from young people. We want young people who are going to speak out and step forward, because COVID-19 is pregnant with opportunities. So I'm showing a challenge to young people to begin to see COVID-19 and set up. And then we need to set up different ways of running economy and owning the economy. And I close the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Zamzaka, for this wonderful presentation. So we'll take two questions, one from the delegates online and one from our live audience here. So we'll start with our online delegates. Do you have any question for our presenters? If you have a question, please, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, all our speakers. We enjoyed your talks all. I am Peter Ofo from Nigeria, and I work with the Astronomy Division of Center for Basic Space Science, and it's under NASDAQ. So my question is based on the human capacity building. And last time my question is directed to Professor Melvin. I don't know if there are still openings for PhD scholarships for people. That's my question. And also, another question I will have again is, if there is any, since traveling now is kind of restricted, if we can have online program that we could enroll and get trained in this human capacity building. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your question. The current round of DARA funding is coming to an end, as I mentioned. So there are no scholarships available in the immediate future. We will need to bid for further funding in future rounds to try and get more funding. So we'll have to see how that goes. It'll be a year or two, I think, before, at least from UK funding, whether we know whether that's going to happen. There are initiatives, at the EU level that may result in similar funding. Obviously, we've heard from the AU this morning as well. It'd be great to get AU funded PhD scholarships, I think, in this field. And of course, you just heard from Mthuzeli about the Soreo bursary program. So that one is still running, and so that's probably the best bet in the near future.
Thanks, Melvin. Maybe let me just add to Melvin to say, yes, we have also Soreo bursary for masters, PhDs, and postdocs that we give to students from outside South Africa. So we are releasing the call by 1st of April. Some calls will go out 1st of April, some in June. So if you can, especially for masters, PhDs, the call will go out by 1st of April. So if you can come in, so you can get, and we need, although then we prioritize Africa partner countries at masters and PhD level. We have about 8 partner countries, and Nigeria is not part of them. So then I think, unless you can come through the chairs, the research chairs or research groups, but you cannot get a bursary directly from the SRAO if you are not one of the partner countries, except at postdoc, or you come through. Yeah, I think, Matt, let me end. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Melvin and Dr. Zamzaka. Okay, so without much time, so I'd like to move on to the next session. Okay, so we'll take one question from our audience.
Hello, good morning once more. I have a question and also a suggestion for Dr. Bitujani. We know that the African Union Commission is working actively to see how best they can fit in the youth towards the sustainable development and also for exponential development. So now, as youth in various African countries, we have been raising awareness in terms of space science and astronomy. And we have laid the foundation to see how best we can not only educate our community, our countries, but also to see how best we can tell them some of the benefits and potential that space science and astronomy can provide for country. I want to know, because it's not only about raising the awareness, but also the capacity building to set up some hands-on projects, like a small project, because if we can work with the WCRC, the World Body Cancer and Rocketry Competition, championship, to have some small space-related projects such as cancer, because raising the awareness is good, but doing the technical job is awesome. So I want to know what the African Union has put together to see how best we can have some technical trainings, not only raising up awareness, but also to have technical trainings. Thank you.
This is a very good question, and I would say practically, through GMS in Africa, that was a practical example. That was not awareness. It was about using Earth observation to develop a service for end users. Therefore, we've imposed on the consortia to bring young people, and their masters and PhDs should not be the classical ones, meaning developing the methodologies as we did, as many people did. But nowadays we are looking at the service development. That is one example. And GMS is just a starting point. We are also encouraging partners when they come to the African Union Commission to start building new programs like the CNES. CNES is the French National Space Studies Center. It is like the space agency. They have now, for some of you, you may know that already, they are covering countries with what they call Act in Space. It is a project where young people are very well trained to, to build the startups are really the focus of that. That is not awareness. We are discussing currently with the European Space Agency on the Research and Development Initiative named EU for Africa. Under that one, you will see also a typical and practical example of how to use science, space science, for socioeconomic development. That is not awareness. We are trying to do both because the awareness is not only for decision makers, it is also to attract young people that do not have any idea on space matters. I think you are right, you are fully right. And the African Union Commission will stand with you young people to combine both and to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Tidiane. I would like to thank all our presenters for this session. We would like to move quickly to the next session. So,
good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Joshua, for moderating that session. Once again, we appreciate our speakers for all their presentations. So today we'll be moving to the third module of our All About Space presentation. And we would like to implore all our speakers that on account of time, they should be as brief as possible with their presentations. Unfortunately, Rania Tukuberi, the Regional Coordinator for Africa, SGAC, would not be able to present today due to unforeseen circumstances. To moderate this presentation, we are going to be having an environmental engineer that is part of our organizing team. She's been very hardworking, the head of the PR and communications team in the person of Chidema Ureche. As our moderator, please let's clap for her. Thank you very much, Chidema.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nelly, for the introduction. As she said, I'm Chidema from the organizing team. And it's unfortunate that we are late, but I would like to call on Professor Alexandra from the Center of Global Governance and Emerging Law for her presentation. Professor Alexandra, are you online?
I am. Yes, I just turned on my video. Good morning and good afternoon to those who are in the afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I apologize also if my voice is a bit strange sounding. It's 5 a.m. here as well, but you know, no matter what the time, this is more important than anything else. So thank you all for being here. I wish that we could be together in person, but I'm sure that next year we will be, and look forward to meeting you all at some point, hopefully even sooner. But what I had wanted to talk about today, and what the organizers have kindly asked me to talk about, is a bit of a focus on the concept of all about space, which is very broad, which is wonderful. To talk about the idea of sustainability in space, and especially how we think about sustainability in terms of governance in space. As a background, I am a lawyer, I'm a law professor, I am American and British, and currently I'm teaching at an American law school, and also have spent a great deal of time in Canada. So this is really an attempt at kind of bringing out lots of different ideas and perspectives on sustainability and governance coming together from those models. Now, the important thing to begin with, and for those of you who were at the pre-event that was brilliantly hosted several weeks ago, I just wanted to kind of remind you all again, and I apologize if you remember this, but the important thing to remember is that there are three, when we speak of sustainability, there are three core elements. So sustainability, sustainable development has an economic pillar, an environmental pillar, and a social pillar. And all of these are critical on their own, but also together for sustainability. And when we think of the Sustainable Development Goals, certainly this is a part of it. These areas actually correlate quite well to areas of concern in the global governance structure that exists on Earth, and certainly in discussions about how we need to think about space and how we need to think about moving space forward, because certainly we see that there is obviously an economic component. There is a clear environmental component, even if it is vastly different than what we conceive of in terms of terrestrial concepts of territory and terrestrial concepts of environment. But it also has a very real potential to impact on how we are able to achieve environmental sustainability on Earth as well. And we also see huge potential social impacts and societal impacts, not only in terms of economic, but also in terms of how we might take the information and data and whatever else we explore and find in the outer space sector and translate it into human benefit everywhere and anywhere. And we do hope that by having these types of discussions, this definitely includes all of Africa, and that we're able to use this to really help in other development contexts. These areas are reflected in the Sustainable Development Goals. And there is often a discussion about the Sustainable Development Goals being very, very soft law. So for those of you who are not lawyers, that means that they're not legally binding. They don't have the effect of like an actual law that you must follow either internationally or nationally. But one of the things that we've seen in the context of the pandemic, certainly, and one of the things that I truly believe will be very beneficial for sustainability in space, is that by being non-binding, often these types of policies and concepts can actually be very flexible and can be very useful for the types of industries that we see coming out of the pandemic on one hand, but also in space. And as we see space as emerging, this is something that we will continue to be able to include in the Sustainable Development Goal analysis, as well as in space governance policy. So I don't want to take a great deal of time, obviously. I know that that we are running a bit tight on time, but just as a brief concept, to take these pillars of sustainability and to map them into what it means to create a governance system for space that is sustainable and that would reflect Sustainable Development Goals, as well as much of the Africa 2063 agenda and many of the commitments that African states have made to follow and to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. We need to think of incorporating space across 3 layers of governance. So laws and legislation and the legislative process itself, as well as regulation, because as we all know, especially those of you who are scientists, what lawyers write is often very much in one world, and then the real practical world over here is very different, which is why we have the regulations to bridge that. So we really do need to have a conversation where lawyers and scientists and many others talk to each other to then create a sustainability plan as well as a governance plan. And this is something where for space, if we start this early, we can often not repeat many of the same mistakes that we've seen made in the earthly realm with how we discuss law and regulation and scientific background. And the other pillar is court system or liability elements, and deciding of fact and deciding of issues when they do come up. And this is an area where we can incorporate what we know about dispute settlement from various earthly constructs, be it courts, be it arbitration panels, be it compliance mechanisms, et cetera, into something that will be meaningful for space. And what I think is challenging for many lawyers, and many of you who are in the legal field will find this, is getting the legal understanding and the legal authority in any country or in any international organization to understand that there are very different needs often in the space context, that this isn't strange, and it doesn't have to fall into the compliance or court or arbitral body system that we have seen so far. So this is just, it's a very broad overview. It's a very quick taste, but in the all about space concept and talking about sustainability, I wanted to bring in these aspects as well to tie in sustainability and governance. I am of course happy to answer any and all questions and happy to discuss this further with anyone outside of the panel. Please do excuse me if I put my headphones back in. I don't want to wake up the rest of my household by hearing all the other brilliant presentations. So thank you very much. And I turn back to our wonderful moderator.
Thank you, Professor Alexander, for that presentation on the sustainability in space, the need for sustainability in space. We can overemphasize that. Thank you so much. Please, if you have any questions, we implore you to type in the comment section because we don't have time. So we'll move over to the next presenter, Dr. Nadim Ozia from Square Kilometer. Dr. Nadim, are you online?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can see you.
Yep. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start.
You're welcome. The floor is yours.
Can you allow me to share, please? Can the host allow me to share my screen, please?
Just a moment.
Okay, thank you.
You can share now.
Okay. I'm not able to share my screen. Just glitch here. I can't see my tab. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Just put that in present mode. Okay, good day, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk at the 4th GAC. Today, I'm going to talk a bit about radio frequency interference and more specifically about how, as a data scientist, you can make use of junk. I call it junk because people who don't like radio frequency interference because these are bad data points. They throw them away, but you can make good use of those data points. So what are radio frequency interference, or what people also call like electromagnetic interference? In radio astronomy, okay, any radio signal which is undesirable, that you don't want, or any data point which is an outlier is what we call the radio frequency interference. And we all know that radio frequency interference has been a plague to radio astronomy, okay, for decades. And this might or become worse actually by the time the SKA comes up, because we are having more and more industries and more sources of radio frequency interferences. And we are also building more and more sensitive instruments. So as I said, there are different sources of those radio frequency interferences. It can be internal, generated by the instrument, or it can be external from intentional or unintentional radio emissions, for example, from satellites, cell phone towers, TV broadcasters. So as Umtutu mentioned, the SKA will produce huge amount of data. And very often when we hear big data, people just jump onto machine learning, artificial intelligence. So one question that I want to ask in this talk is, do we necessarily need to invoke machine learning and artificial intelligence when we talk about big data? We also know that radio frequency interference is dynamic. It keeps on changing and evolving. So can we build up a tool that can allow us to quantify the environment, the radio frequency interference environment around an observatory? And lastly, astronomers, they adore the data set, and they would like to have the data set to be clean. That is, the data set doesn't have any outlier that you need to throw, you don't have to flag any data. And removing those bad data is very subjective. So can we build a tool that will allow astronomers to confidently remove those bad data points based on some probabilistic method? So let me introduce briefly the Meerkat Radio Telescope, which Umtutu mentioned before. So it is 64 antennas. It is a precursor for the SKA. It consists of 64 antennas, 13.5 meter diameter, and it is built in the Northern Cape in South Africa. So what I want you to get from here is that this orange arrow, it is what we call the baseline. It is a vector between any two antennas. So why this is important? Because in interferometer, when you combine all these telescopes together, what is important for us is resolution and also sensitivity. So the longer the baseline, the higher the resolution. That is, you can discern fine structures from objects that you're looking at. So I'll just skip over that. But what I want you to focus here is the frequency range. We work at 3 frequencies with Meerkat: the UHF band, the L band, and also there is now the S band, which is coming up. So we have all seen those beautiful radio images made from Meerkat. And this is the first time that we are seeing all those filamentary structure, all those details of the center of our own galaxy. So to make these images, you have to work with what we call the visibility. Whatever you measure from your telescope, you just clean that data, and then from the clean data, you can make your science. So why do you need to clean the data? For the simple reason, if you take a cut, a profile cut from your data, as a function of frequency, what you see here is spikes. You see lots of spikes. Those spikes are bad data points. You need to remove them. And you will have millions of such pixels that you will need to flag to remove. And some of you who've been working with satellites will know the regions, for example, here about GPS satellites. Here we have some GNS, and also we have some distance measurement equipment that appears around here. So these radio frequency interference affect our data, and we need to remove them. And again, we are sitting on Earth and we are observing celestial objects. And in between us and the celestial objects, we have constellation of satellites, GPS, GNS satellite, each working at different frequencies. And these frequencies, unfortunately, impact radio observation from ground-based instrument. For example, as I showed here, the L band itself, the lower L band that is used by GPS, is subdivided into different regions. I want you to focus on L1, L2, and L5 that I'm going to talk a little bit about. So This is a plot of the angular separation of known satellite as a function of time for a particular observation with the meerkat. And as you can see here, we are looking at the radio source, but in between you have the satellite that come across. And the red line here shows the primary beam of meerkat, which is around 1 degree. But what happens at times is that you will see some satellite will come straight into the primary beam. And what is also interesting is that during the whole observation, there is no time that there's no satellite into your field of view. So what does this do to you? This is what happened to your profile of your data. So the satellite, once they come very close to your primary beam, okay, they will cause those huge spikes, and at times they even cause saturation. And these data, you cannot use them. You have to throw them away. So what we decided to do is that, can we build a tool that will allow us to calculate the probability of picking up radio frequency interference from the data that meerkat is collecting? This is a work which was done by Isaac, a master's student, and this has been published in this on AstroPH. So what I want you to get from here is that this is your antenna. You get your signal. Your signal comes into a correlator, and then it comes out at 0.57 dump rate. So what we do, we can average the data and write it to what we call a visibility, and we save it to this. Or what we do also is we average the data and we run an online flagger that's going to flag the radio frequency interference, and then we will write that information also to this. And the whole data set will go into the archive. And on top of that, you have information about the telescope, which is written into what we call, okay, like a meta writer, and that is copied also onto this. So then what we do is we take, let's say we have an observation that has gone through the archive. What we will do is...
Dr. Nazim.
Yes?
Please, can you help us round up in the next 1 minute, please?
Sure. So what we build is basically this tool that will allow you to pick up the probability of RFI as a function of this 5 dimension. But because of computational resources, you have to bin your data. So what I want to show here is basically some example of these analysis that allows you to get the probability as a function of frequency, time, and on top of that, you can also get your confidence levels on picking up RFI. So these are the different subbands that you can extract your RFI probabilities, and you can make analysis about how corrupted is your band. So one of the things that I want to mention is that here, we have a tool that allows us to quantify RFI by using this probabilistic method. We can also get the health of RFI health of the environment. We don't need to invoke machine learning, it's just simple probability. And what it does also, it allows you to now, with more confidence, to remove data, bad data from your data set. And I'll leave the last point here, what is the right balance between having more satellite in space and doing radio observation from ground-based instrument. And I'll leave it there for people to think about it, because we know the satellite impact the Earth-based observation. So how do we find the right balance between satellite and Earth-based observation? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Adim, for that wonderful presentation on radio frequency interference. And please, just like the former speaker, if you have any question, please indicate and type in the comment section, and we would forward it to the speaker. So for the next presenter, we have Helena Lovia from Villa de Amelda. Helena, are you online?
Yes, I am. Thank you. I'd like to share my screen, but I seem to be disabled. Can you please check it?
Just a moment, please.
Thank you.
Okay, Helena, go on, please.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. I'll just try. Put it here. Okay. So can you see my image? I seem to have a problem with the image. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'll just put. Okay, thank you. So I'll just put it here. Okay, very well. So my name is Helena Correia Mendonça. I am a practicing lawyer from a law firm, Vieira de Almeida, so VDA. So I'm actually in Lisbon, but we have offices in several African countries. And we actually started working in space matters in Africa a few years ago. So this presentation will cover an issue that has been discussed already today and yesterday to give you a bit more input on the issue of space policies and laws for African countries. For the sake of time, because I know you're running a bit late, I'll go through it very quickly. I will be also in working group 1. So if you have any questions, I'll be there. And if you have any questions after the presentation, I'm available as well. So the first point that we already know relates with the international framework for space activities. So it comes from the UN. There are 5 UN space treaties, and they establish a set of obligations that apply to states and in some cases to international organizations. So one point that is very relevant relates with the importance of space laws, of national space laws, to reflect those obligations to private entities that are performing space activities. So here you have, some of the most important obligations that arise from the UN space treaties. I take your attention to the issue of responsibilities. So states need to supervise private activities of their nationals or taking place in their territory. They shall authorize those activities. There are also rules on liability for damages and also rules for registration of space objects. So if a space object is launched into space, into orbit or beyond, it should be registered. And there's also here the issue of no contamination, which is connected with the issues of sustainability in outer space that were also discussed today and yesterday. Another point that you need to take into consideration is that the UN space treaties are not the only important source of law, of international law in space. So you also need to look at issues of frequencies, okay, and of ITU. And then you already know the space policy and space strategy of the African Union. I only take your attention here to the fact that one of the provisions, one of the indications that result from these documents is the importance of coordinating a continent-wide regulatory framework for space activities in the continent. So there is a concern here in ensuring that the legal framework is aligned, is harmonized. So when we look at national approaches to space activities, there are several manners that states and that countries can start, investing and developing space activities in the space sector. One important point that needs to be taken into consideration is that you need to look at the specificities, the features of the country to decide how you should proceed. So there is no one size fits all, okay? So there are, of course, common issues. For example, the promotion of private initiative, of the private sector, but you need to look at the country itself to decide where you want to go, where you want to invest. And this leads us to the issue of national space policies and laws. So there are 4 main points that I'd like to bring your attention to. So the first one relates to the importance of drafting space policies and strategies in the country, okay? And this is important because it will help you to have a framework for countries and for the private sector to know where to invest, but we'll also define responsibilities and align different stakeholders with common goals. Okay, so it's not uncommon to see countries starting their space activities and starting studies and CubeSat projects and sometimes, development of satellites and the installation of ground stations without having a space policy and strategy. But having it is very important to align the efforts of the country and avoid duplications. And when you start with this drafting of space policies and strategies, there are a set of points that need to be taken into consideration. So we highlighted here 4 main points in addition to the issue of financing, of course. So the first one is awareness. The second is the approach. Then you have the coordination and finally capacity. So with awareness, it means that the first point is ensuring that everybody is aware of the importance of space activities. And this was actually addressed also yesterday. So the need to ensure that, within government, but also within the private sector, there is a recognition and acknowledgement of the importance of space applications, products, and services. Then there is the issue of the approach. How are you going to approach the content of the space policy and strategy? Okay? So often when we advise countries, including African countries, in drafting their space policies, we look at their governance priorities, their national development policies, their sector development policies and strategies to see where they are going to invest in the next years. What are their main goals and their main objectives, so that we can draft a space policy where space applications meet those goals, because space is an instrument and not an end in itself, okay? So when we talk about space and satellites for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, which were also discussed during this event, they are an instrument. So you need to look at the goals of the country and how space can help a country achieve them. That you need coordination, and you need coordination between different entities and between the different goals and objectives. So this is extremely important. We've had, for example, situations where, in the initial workshops for members of government to, make them aware of the need to draft a space policy and strategy and giving them, input on these issues, we identified, that ministries were for the same purpose, from the same goal, dealing with different partners. For example, we had a situation where there was, a goal of using, the European Galileo program for positioning and navigation, and other ministries were already, making partnership agreements for other positioning and navigation systems. And so, of course, this is a duplication of effort. So you need to bring everybody to this effort and ensure that everybody is committed to that. And then you need to build capacity, of course, which was already discussed, but not only of users and suppliers, but of public stakeholders. Okay, so all of this is very important to avoid, as I said, duplication, fragmentation, and ensure a uniform approach to space activities. So next, you need to have national laws, okay, not only to reflect UN obligations, but to go beyond UN obligations. So to ensure that national laws promote and help private activity. Okay. As you know, nowadays, the space sector is very much privatized. So you have private investment and private entities, and you have, all this new space with small satellites, constellation of satellites, reusable launchers, horizontal takeoffs. And if you look at older laws, okay, in countries that are, big space power, so their space laws are old, many of them are not adapted to these new realities, and they may create, obstacles to new entrants, to new space companies, to startups, to scale-ups. So you need to draft a space law that helps the private sector. And of course, you have at international level guidelines and resolutions that can help you draft a space law, but you need to go beyond that, and you need to adapt it to make sure that you are not hindering private activity. So there are common points in all laws. So you have to license space activities, essentially launching space objects and operating space objects. You need to have rules on registration. You need to set up a set of obligations to operators, issues of liability and insurance. But beyond that, you need to go a bit further, even further than what results, from these guidelines and these resolutions to make space for the new space. And you need to look also beyond, the traditional space law. Many countries have other laws on remote sensing, suborbital flights, spaceports, space mining. You need to look at also laws or procedures or regulations for allocating orbital slots, so the issue of ITU that I was talking before. But you also need... Hello? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes,
please,
sorry.
can you have a round up?
Yes, I'm very much finishing. I have 2 more slides.
Okay,
thank you. So if you want to develop the private sector, you also need to look beyond the space laws itself. You need to look, to intellectual property, tax, import and export, cybersecurity, telecoms. You need to look at data protection. You need to look at new technologies that were also discussed yesterday: artificial intelligence, blockchain, Internet of Things, consumer protection. So you need to look at all of this and see if any amendments or any specific and special regimes or provisions may be required. And then you need to look at the organic structure. So you need to create a space agency or commission or cabinet to execute the space policy. You need to have a space authority to supervise and license space activities. And you might also have, for example, all other entities or regulators for remote sensing, for orbital slots, for space surveillance and tracking, to promote, private activity and innovation. So you need to look at how you are going to establish, the entities here. And finally, you need, as a country, to be a part of the UN space treaties, okay? This is very important. For example, we had a situation where a client came to us already with a contract for the construction and launching of a satellite, and our client was under the obligation to register it under the UN space treaty. But the country that our client was established was not a part of the UN registration convention. Okay, so it's very important to be a part of the UN space treaties, and if the country, and if you are in a country that is not, you need to take this into special considerations when you are concluding agreements, contracts, partnerships, to be sure that you are able to comply with any obligations that result from it. And that's it. So these are our contacts, and we are available, of course, for any questions or issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena, for that wonderful presentation. And thank you for reminding us that we collectively need to be committed to the sustainability of the space, and also the need to draft policies to support and enforce the sustainable development goals if we want a sustainable space. Thank you very much. So for our next presenter, we're having Wisdom Donko, the president of Africa Open Data Information Research Foundation. Call him on.
Everywhere I go, I have my... Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Yes, my name is Wisdom Donko, the President and CEO of Africa Open Data and Internet Research Foundation. Basically, what we do is to promote open data in Africa, technology, and also look at the internet issues within Africa, also trying to help communities with internet connectivity. So basically, that is what we do. I will try to be brief, and I have some bullet points I just want to remind all of us so that we can begin to think of how we can empower Africa when it comes to geotechnology within the continent. I think Africa, we are lagging behind we are losing a lot of time when it comes to some of this technology, and we need to speed up and see how we can help our continent. It's us that can help the continent, and government alone cannot do everything. We need to also play our part, and sometimes we need to force government to do what we want them to do. So I'll be looking at open data, basically within the geospace sector. So the first thing that I'm looking at is linking people, planet, prosperity through a spatial lens. The SDGs is made up of 17 goals, 17 separate goals, target a wide range of global issues, from extreme poverty to climate change, location. This is significant to most of the issues, making geospatial data as equally important to SDG as a demography and statistical data. Understanding the sustainable development goals from spatial point of view, is essential for government in order to identify where citizens and where the root of the problem lies. Accordingly, the right development strategies can be formulated. Yes, let's not go too far, maybe thinking of Mars and all that. Let's just think about the Earth. I'm sure the Earth is also considered as a space, right? We have issues here, especially within the African continent, that we are struggling to solve. So we need to be thinking, what can we do, or what can we use space technology to help the continent in terms of our food securities, in terms of climate change that we are experiencing now and then, in terms of diseases. You can all attest the COVID that we have. So what can we do to leverage on these technologies to help the African continent? So we need to think about some of these things. So the next point is how can we empower the people? We need to think more about the community. I think we are discussing all this without thinking about the communities. We have a vibrant community in Africa. We need to empower them through some of these programs that we have. I heard a lot about scholarships and all that. Scholarship alone is not enough. We have communities, we have technological hubs that can as well take up some of these challenges and also help in the development of this space technology that we are all discussing about. So, and the next bullet point is a geospatial insight for changing planets. Another key aspect of the SDG is to protect the planet from degradation. We all know in Ghana, when you take the Galamsey size, I have gone there, I've been there a number of times, and if you see how our environment are being destroyed, if you go to the forest areas, the trees are being cut and all that. So let's use this space technology thing in thinking along that direction. If we are doing that, then that means we are making meaning to our development. Then we can as well have the attention of the government. But if we are thinking or talking only about space, sometimes government also they also need to think. We need to direct them that we have space. This is what space can do for them in helping the people. And the next point is how can we also benefit from space in terms of economic growth and social prosperity. She says I have 2 minutes. Yes, and then the other, the last point that I'll talk about is data. In our part of the world, we lack a lot of data. Even talking about administrative data is a problem. And we don't have any activity of space within Africa. So the question is, what can we do to get a lot of space data for the communities in Africa? Because the community is hungry for data. When we start getting some of those data, analyzing it and making meaning out of it, that is when you see the interest of the entire community helping government in our development. So we need to think more about open data. And I know there's an initiative with the African Union, I've forgotten the name, where NASA is making available space data to Africa. But then even those data sets is not even available to the community. So what can we do to get more data to the community so that we can all come together and help solve these problems of environmental issues and all that we're facing within the continent. We also have to start thinking about policy. I think policy, before policy even will come, let's think about the community. Let's start something. So once we start something and the government is beginning to be aware of some of these things, then they'll be able to come out with very good policies for our various countries within Africa. So I think, Kingsley, if possible, we can think of having maybe through my foundation, we can maybe think of having use space technological hub within Africa and see how we can use this to champion the cause of space activities within the African continent. So this is my brief.
Thank you, Wisdom, for that wonderful presentation. So I would implore us to put our hands together for amazing presenters. So put your hands together.
Hello. Hi. Oh, please just stand up and at least just stand up and move yourself a little bit. You've been seated for some time now. Hello. Yeah, you need this. Can our colleagues who are joining us online, can you turn on your camera so we see you? You want to feel the hybrid event here and say hi to all of us. Hello. You can unmute yourself and just say hi to all of us.
Hello. Hello.
Great. I know you are all poised to go on to your different groups to start the working group session. Oh, great. It's great. So much. Great to see you all. You can now have your seat, please.
Hi.
All right, good. So unfortunately, we will not go for our coffee break. So we'll be moving on straight to our working group session. So what we will do is that the guys who are here, who are in group 1, please kindly stay in this room, whilst the other guys you follow Charles. You follow Charles to the other Charles will assign you to your different working groups respectively. Okay, yeah. And before that, we would like Marco, who is now online. Marco is part of the programs team. He will give a brief expectations and outcomes that we look for this particular working session. Marco, if you are online, can you unmute yourself now?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so welcome again, and I will just make a very brief pass by into all the working group sections so you can understand exactly what we expect you to do at the end of each section. And please take notes of exactly with the kind of doubts you have, so we can clarify, and we'll be here with you during the session, and all the experts will be ready to support you in every single task you need for the working group. So as you receive the content in advance, we have the 5 working groups, and the first working group will be dealing with the space governance, because this is one of the huge topics that make the umbrella of all the space activities in Africa. We propose you this case study, where we expect you at the end, after understanding how the space arena and the rules, policy, and guidelines that pave the way of a collaborative environment in Africa works, we'll be expecting from you at the end to 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 listen the working group moderators and have this streamline of deliverables that comprises the status of space law and policy in Africa, the challenge faced by African countries in contribution to the global endeavors of the space governance. Please suggest on those deliverables a way forward to development in posterity in terms of space governance in Africa. And we would like to have from your side the perspective on the strategy for integrating spacefaring countries in Africa in the African Space Agency, because you look and understand how far they are from getting into the space environment. And because most of you are the main force of this space governance, we would like to hear from you on the deliverables at the end of the section, the role of the youth, and on that definition and development of the space governance in Africa. For the working group 1, space governance, those are the deliverables. The case study you have with you, as we shared in on the prevent in advance, but I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to check if you are really in line on what is expected for this working group 1. If you have any doubt, drop a message here or unmute yourself to ask a question so we can be clear. But in any case, you'll have this document with you. 1 minute to go.
Hi, Romero.
Hello. Who is
Please,
speaking?
it's Julia. I'm one of the experts for Working Group 1.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when you were stating the deliverables, my internet cut out. Could you quickly just run through the deliverables again? Thank you.
Yes, no worries. So, and I'll do also after passing through them, I'll share with you exactly here on the chat. But after analyzing the case study we proposed to you, we expect to have from you the status of space law and policy in Africa, the challenge faced by African countries in contributing to the global endeavor of the space governance, the way to go forward in terms of development in posterity, in terms of what we can achieve after establishing the space governance framework. The 2 last points are the strategy for integration of spacefaring countries in the future existence of the African Space Agency, and what will be the role of those countries that don't have for now space capabilities. And the last point we expect is the role of the youth on the definition and development of the space governance in Africa. It was clear now, but I sent on the chat.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And I'll just repeat that in case you need, you can reach out to every one of the organizing members, and we will just give you all the details you need. Are we okay for the working group 1?
Yes, Marco, just how do we get to the room? Will it be like during the pre-event?
Yes, we'll prepare the breakout rooms, and we will assign you, each one of you
Thank
to
you.
the delegates room, so you can exchange with them.
Okay,
Now
thank you.
pass to all the. I'll just ask your patience, so we can pass to all the working groups very fast, very briefly. Okay.
Marco, we are also ready on this other end. Can Marco hear me?
Yes, Nelly.
All right. Okay, so over to you guys and Ruvimbo. Ruvimbo, are you live?
I think Rovimbo is facing some technical issues.
Well, okay, that's fine. We'll be starting right about now.
Okay. So we'll jump on the into the second working group. May we go, Nelly, to the second working group description? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. And
yes, please, Marco, you can go on to the description of the second working group.
okay, the second working group, you have a detailed overview of what's the new space and space business and entrepreneurship ecosystem in Africa, and how this $200,000 million is economy is growing. But after reading carefully the case study of a new space company run by a young enthusiast and space researcher in a spacefaring country in East Africa, we would like to have you to have your thoughts in in the creation of a roadmap for a sustainable growth of the new space in Africa. Then we are expecting from you the identification of the main problems and on the implementation and growth of the space entrepreneurship in Africa. What are the big challenges? And the third deliverable we expect from you is the entrepreneurial opportunities in Africa and its respective sectors, all of them detailed in such a way that it can really support decision makers and new entrants in the new space ecosystem. Are we good with the second working group? Working group 2 delegates and experts. If you have any question, please send a message here or unmute your mic. If no, again, I'll take that as a yes. And we will jump for the working group 3. Working group 3 is all about big data and how this big data is changing lives, and how this astronomy data is being used here in Africa, is being used in Africa to tackle some of the sustainable development issues we are facing, and how this data is gathered, what kind of infrastructures Africa is investing on to gather this huge amount of data and process it having the example of the nowadays square kilometer array, huge infrastructure in terms of astronomy, but also in terms of engineering. So because we recognize the potential and the tremendous importance of the astronomy and the data management gathered from space for the daily life application, we would like to have from you answers to the main question, to those main questions. So how Africa is strong territories in astronomy excellence. So all those conditions for sustainable development in astronomy in Africa have been met. So how far African astronomy is prepared to meet the global challenges imposed by big data. And we would like to have you answering those questions by proposing an African astronomy roadmap for the next decade, aligned with the African Astronomy Association, the International Astronomical Union, and other reference institutions with which Africa must be aligned to have sustainable development of the astronomy sector, like we have the in presence of the big data that is here with us. The second deliverable is a structure of astronomy dashboard platform and that can really map the largest number of African astronomy institutions, African astronomy infrastructures and initiatives, so that we can, after the workshop, give every African astronomy institution the possibility to track and interact with each other. So the second point is all about mapping the state of the Africa astronomy ecosystem. The third deliverable is a list and presentation of the vision of the resources, activities, and projects that have allowed those people that are being on the education side, on the development, and on the outreach of astronomy. The fourth and last one is for you to use available data, open source, and the kind we will be providing to you to develop a proposal of a practical application of astronomical observation applied to a daily life field chosen by your group. Working group 3 deliverables are presented. I'll send here on chat, and please ask in case of doubts or share any concern you have.
Sorry, Marco, it's Carolina Costa from Working Group 1. Does the working group still going to have a live stream on YouTube or just in Zoom?
Sorry, Carolina, can you repeat this?
Yes, naturally. The working groups will have streamline on YouTube or just going to be here on Zoom?
The working groups will be streamed. So all the event that is taking place here on Zoom is being streamed on the Zoom, but because we'll be on the breakout rooms, we'll just pass by to the different working sessions and try to highlight some of the moments.
Okay,
They won't be fully streamed but at least we'll try to jump one by one and try to stream them.
Okay, thank you very much, Marco.
You're welcome, Carolina. The fourth one is about space application and technologies to support SDGs. space applications are straightforward and a little bit similar to what you will see on the working group 5. And because the downstream represents 70% of, of the space industry or economy, and because we have one African continent where only 40% of the sustainable development data is available, as was mentioned here from one of the speakers, we would like to have on this working group, and we prepared the case study in such a way that we can really make the bridge between space applications and technology and how they can contribute for the future that we want, how sustainable development goals can be achieved by using space data, space science, and space technology. And the main deliverables of this working group session will be definition of the main relation, the main direct relation between the sustainable development goals and the space sector. And the second will be the clarification and description of space applications that that track the 169 indicators of the sustainable development goals, and how Africa is reaching out the sustainable development goal index by using space-related data. The last one will be proposing solutions, applications, and methodologies on how space data can tackle the sustainable development goals. They are pretty much related, so it will be the decision of the working group to align them so we can have the 4 deliverables. Any doubt on the working group 1, on the working group 4? Okay.
Hello, Marco. Monique.
Yes, Monique.
Yes. Okay. Well noted. Maybe I will see the detail on the dashboard when we will have. But I think is okay for me. I think these objectives are possible to attain today.
Thank you very much, and we'll count on your experience to guide us through this journey. Just a heads up, you are now being assigned to the working group section. Before we go to the 5th working group, I'll just ask once again for the working group 4 if there is any doubts, any concern.
Yes, Marco, I have a question. Could you please repeat the 4th deliverable? Is it actually a tool you want us to develop?
No. Because of the time you will be having here during the working session, we are just asking you to propose concepts of different applications. For example, we are talking about how fluid management, how, for example, open source data or low resolution imagery can be used for fluid monitoring awareness system, how we're talking about constellations like Landsat, Planet Lab we have here with us, or Sentinel constellations can be used for agriculture, and how agriculture is in such a way connected to the sustainable development goal number 2, that is zero hunger. So it's just explaining the concept of really receiving images in case of Earth observation, processing this image and what kind of output and what will be the benefits in concrete terms of this data usage. I gave the example of Earth observation, but we can bring also the transponders of communication satellites to track the migration of some of the biodiversity and to save them for the dangers of human bad behavior in terms of the environment. So it will be up to you to bring down a set of specific concepts on how space data is really being used or can be used in different countries for drought assessment, fluid management, agriculture, education, connectivity, and now those big issues. I'll just give you a tip that we have some very good reports on the Sustainable Development Goal Index that gave us some of the gaps that need or can be addressed or tackled by using space data.
Okay, so can we choose a few out of the 17 goals to focus on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, and if you notice on this Sustainable Development Index for Africa, we have priorities in terms of the majority of the countries. But this I can jump in the working group in case you need to discuss further.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, may I come in?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Wisdom. Yes, part of the working group 4. We are currently in the working group 4 session, and then it looks like there's no one here, and we don't know actually what we should do.
No, you just need to wait until we finish with all the working groups, and we'll be assigning, and the ones who were not assigned, we'll do that manually.
So that means we are going to do the connection for that.
Yes. We are working. Our technical team is working on that.
Thank you very much.
Just be patient.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. May we go for the working group 5?
Marco, please, could you assign me in the working group 5, please?
Okay, let me just find you here. Okay.
Hi, Marco.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Karunakaran. May we go for the working group 5?
Yes, please, assign me first.
You are assigned already. You can jump now.
Okay.
Charles, are you there on the working group 4?
I'm there, but it shows working group 2 instead of 5.
No, here on the list, you are on the working group 5. You are on the working group 5.
Let me join them.
Okay. Any other concern about the working group 4? May we go for the working group 5?
Marco?
Yes.
Please, just to send us the data on the chat, please, if possible.
Yes. I'll do that now. Okay. Let me just write it down. Okay.
Just a moment. I understand French. It's very hard. Excuse me. Charles.
Okay, let me just finish with the working group 5. Please mute yourself if you're not talking. Okay, Monique, if you don't mind, I will just finish here with the working group 5, and then I'll send to you to your group. Okay. Can you hear me? Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So working group 5 will be the role of space technology in a post-COVID-19 in Africa. So as for the 30th of July, 2020, Africa has recorded like more than 7,000 7,000 COVID tests, 754,000 COVID-19 cases, and the pandemic has exposed some of the gaps and deterioration of the Africa's healthcare facilities, plunged billions of informal sector laborers, and forced into extremely poverty that were exposed to that situation. So taking into account this scenario that we are all a part, we are expecting that on your working sections, to have to present in the format that you find most suitable the avenues of collaborations already established to foster Africa cohesion in space and consider new avenues for cohesion to promote development. We expect from you also to develop a small case study where we can have a lesson learned and recommendation from this post-COVID counteraction, taking in consideration or using space-related science, technology, or direct or indirect spin-off. And the two last points will be presenting the old point of view, the point of view of the working group, and considerations about the role of space technology in this post-COVID-19 situation in Africa. And the last one will be having from you the characterization according to your analysis what is the COVID-19 Africa post scenario will look like in terms of impact caused in general and specifically on the space sector. Are you with me, working group 5? Working group 5?
So Marco, where should I go? Like there was working group 5 and it came back, I guess.
Sorry?
I was in working group 5.
Yes,
but
yes.
It came back automatically. It was cancelled or what? Yeah, I got
yes,
it.
I just presented it now, and I think we've just run out of time during the working groups. So as we are close now with the working group presentation, you will be reassigned to the working groups breakout rooms so we can continue out. And I will apologize for the time we took sharing with you the overview of the working groups. Okay. Dr. Karuna Karan, did this answer your question? Dr. Karuna Karan, would you hear me?
Okay, Marco, it's Devolt here from work group 4. We didn't get the breakout and we could also not share any screens at this point in time. So can you just maybe assist with that?
Yes, I'll do that right now. Please,
okay, so Marco,
just give me your name again.
Yeah, could you then share everyone now?
to the various working group?
Yeah.
Thank you very
Everyone is
much.
assigned. We just have, yes, the only one that not joined it is you.
Marco, can you also put the deliverables of working group 3?
The working group 3 are already here. I'll just repeat it now.
Marco, hi.
Yes. Yes, Kingsley.
How are you doing? It's Chaplain here. Can we have the participants for working group 2?
Sorry?
Working group 2?
Yeah. What exactly do you need?
Yeah, I think we just need one participant.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was saying we just had one participant in working group 2. I'm not so sure if you can assist us on that.
On the working group 2, we have Tumo, but the other one, Adernok, Charles, Dorcas, Jades, they are assigned. I don't know. Dorcas, are you having problems to join?
Yes, I was being assigned to.
Okay, people are joining now. Yes.
Yeah,
Dorcas.
Okay,
Sorry?
Yes.
I'll just tell you that working group 1 was closed, the chat, so we need to get in again.
Okay, I think now you can rejoin now.
I don't have here the link to rejoin.
Okay, if you go down, I will just wait. Carolina, no?
Yes, it's also Carolina and Julia and Christina.
Okay, don't change. I'll just move you to the working group 2, and then
one.
No, 1.
No, I just make some change so you can have the pop-up. Now you have the pop-up, no?
Okay, yes.
And who
Still
is
don't.
Christine? No?
I still don't have the pop-up now.
If you go down on the screen.
Oh, I have it. Okay.
Good.
Oh no, I don't. I just have start my video, not the pop-up.
So if you see on the recording button on the button of your screen, you have those 4 squares, the breakout rooms.
I have
No?
it, yes.
Yes, if you
I
click
can't
there,
find it.
No, you can't?
Next to the recording button, amongst the
Yeah.
recording and reactions.
Let me...
Recording. No.
Wait just a second.
Okay.
I'll try to do Carolina. Move to working group 5. Wait a second. Can you see now? Anything?
No, not yet.
On the bottom right of your screen.
I see join break. I already saw it. Okay, thank you. I'll join. Okay, thank you. See you.
Anyone else having problems to join?
Marco,
Yes, Marco is assigned to group 4.
Who want to join the working group 4? Please say your names, because I can't see.
It's Monique.
Okay,
I
Monique.
want to join group 4.
Okay, Monique, I don't see you on the group.
Group 4.
Marco,
Yeah.
can you add us working group 2?
Yeah, let me just see here. Monique, you are not on the working group 4.
No, because you are inviting me on the working group 2.
Oh, okay. So working group 4. Now you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else?
Please, Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marco, could you try to make the speakers co-host? You can use the program outline to make them co-host so that they will then be able to share the screen in the various working groups. Thank you.
Hello, Marco.
Hello. Who I'm talking to?
Yes, I was assigned to working group 2 and I still don't have access to it.
What's your name, please?
Tolid.
Sorry?
Tolid, T-I-W, Tolid Zodu.
Tolid. You are on the working group too?
Yes.
Marco. Hi, Marco.
Okay, working group 2, Tolid, no?
Can you add as a working group 2?
Yes, working group 2.
Okay.
Hi,
Here you
Marco.
have. Hello.
Can I be assigned to group
Hi,
4?
Marco.
Please, once at a time. Who is talking to me now? Who is talking to me now?
Hi, Marco.
Hello, Nancy.
I was out of my group, working group 5, I think.
Nancy, you are on the working group 5?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, but you are assigned to the working group 5.
I'm out of it now. I want to join
Dorcas?
them.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Dorcas, please tell me. You are on
Can
the
you hear
working
me?
group too?
No, I'm in working group 4.
Okay. And now you can join
Thank you.
working group 4. Nancy, did you solve?
Can share yours.
Can you also add me to working group 4?
Who is talking? Wisdom.
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 Don't call.
Check here. Wisdom. You group working group 4?
Yes, working group 4.
Okay. Silas. Who else? Nancy, did you manage to join?
Hey, I just see you.
No. You are on the working group. Which working group? Sorry.
5. I want to join the group 5.
5. Okay.
Yes.
Wait. I think now you will see a message. No?
Yes. Thank you.
See you. So, Dorcas, did you manage to join?
Yeah, I tried to join working group in the breakout room, but I was directed to 2 instead of 4.
Okay. You'll go now to 4. Now you can join.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I can see.
Okay. Tahina, Agnes,
Yes,
Otendo.
hello. I'm in working group
Deriuso.
3. I'm Francie. I'm in working group 3.
Science working group 3.
Yes. But you invited me to working group 2, so
Okay.
yes.
Okay, working group 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, see you.
You're welcome. Deriuson, Fred, Silas, Otendo, Agnes, Raman.
I'm in working group 4.
Who is on working group 4?
Fred.
Fred. Yeah, wait, Fred, now you will see the working group 4 pop up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Agnes, you are muted.
Yes, hello, Marco.
Hello, Agnes.
Agnes. When I go to working group 4, we are not able to share our presentations. Please.
Ah.
Yes.
Oh, you are one of the you
yes,
are one of
I'm the expert there, but I cannot share my
Agnes.
presentation.
Working group 4, no?
Yes. So take me back there and then share.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Oh no. Hmm. Charles or Kingsley, are you there? Charles, Kingsley, Nelly, are you there?
Hello, Marco.
Yes,
Hello, Marco.
you are the host, so I need you to put
Hello, Marco.
Agnes. You are the host of the Zoom meeting, so I need you to. I need you to.
Hello, hello, Marco.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, you are there.
Okay, Marco, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so Marco is just here in the working group 1. We just have there one person, and I was under the impression that it would be more joining and that we'd have connection with the on-site room,
And
but we're
someone
not
please
having
add
that.
me to the working group for
Silas, may you wait, please, and mute yourself. Thanks. Yes, yes. So we are trying to put people inside the working group 1. So far, I see here 5 persons. I would just ask a little bit of patience. I'm trying here to manage different situations and trying to reallocate people. Agnes is the same. I'm just trying to have the technical team because they are the hosts to allow you to share the screen.
So Marco, if you could please, so we will be waiting, but if you could please just then get someone to let us know when we can start.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay, Nelly and Kingsley, are you there? Okay, I think it will be better so you can join and wait kind of 5 minutes, and then we start with the people that is there, and see if we can, because everything is being recorded. We'll try to manage for those who couldn't join, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course, but wouldn't there be an on-site group of people that is there?
Yes.
Because so we'll wait for them for them to join.
Oh, but on the working group sessions, you can't have access to that on-site delegates.
No, they didn't join. We just it's just.
Okay. Kingsley, are you there with me? Nelly, are you there with me? Just 1 second. Let me just check here if Agnes, I can. Kingsley, Charles, are you there with me? Sorry, Agnes, just asking you both to be patient as I'm trying to. Alimami, Shidema, anyone of the technical team is there with me?
They've probably gone to the different working groups.
No, Yeah, let me just check here.
Oh, okay. So Christina already told me that we are connected to the room. So I'm going to working group 1. Okay, thank you, Marco.
Yes, I'm so sorry here for
That's
this.
fine. That's fine. Thank you. Okay,
Good luck. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Agnes, now we just need to solve your
Mhm.
your enabling stream
Yep.
issue. But for this, I really need someone from the technical team because they are the host. Let me just try to jump inside of one of the working groups where they are, and I'll be
Okay.
back. Okay, I'll
Or
just be back in a few minutes.
would you take me there now? Let me just go there and wait.
Okay, let's go together for
Then
the working group 5.
Four. Working group 4.
Okay, you'll go there. Okay, and then I will join you on the working group 4. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Now you go. Yes, I'll join you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Nelly, are you there with me?
Hello. Can you please send me to working group 3, please?
Working group 3. Okay. Agnes, I think now you can join working group 4, no?
I haven't received the I don't see. Is it in I haven't received the request.
And now you will see.
Okay.
Did you see? No?
No. Where is it?
No, you can go on the record button after you have the breakout room before the reaction. Before the reaction.
On the record button.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, breakout rooms. Okay, yes.
Yes, you can see now. Yeah, good. Yes, anyone from the technical team that can really make me the host or co-host so I can allow the speakers to share their screen. Local team, are you there?
Am I audible? Hello? I guess not.
I think everyone is already assigned. Jones, Raman, Derilson, Kiguru, and working group 4. Are you managing to be assigned?
I am supposed to be in working group 1. Can anybody assign me to that?
Who is talking?
Working group 1.
Okay. Working group 1, Raman. Is that all right? Am I correct?
Marco, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
The thing is, our experts and moderators are in the group 1, the group 1 link, but we are in the main Zoom meeting. So we don't know if it's good for you to tell them to join us. I think that'll be easier to join us here in the main Zoom meeting.
So you want them to be here
Yes, they should come back here.
now?
It's going to be
Just the speakers or everyone?
everybody should come here and join us here. No,
Okay,
not
I'll
everybody, just for working group one. The expert moderators and the delegates that are in working group one, they should join us here.
Okay, the experts, all the people from working group one, you want them to leave the breakout room and come here.
Wait, let me run that through with Kingsley. Boss Kingsley.
So Raman, you are on working group one.
Yeah.
Let me just find your name here. I don't see you here. Raman. Raman. Okay, working group one out. You can join now.
Marco.
Yes, Nelly.
I think they've already started presenting at working group one. Video will join there.
Sorry,
I
I
difficulties
lost
with
you.
that, but we'll
I
try
lost
to.
you. I lost you, Nelly. Nelly, are you there with me? Hello. Iguru, Derilson, what are your working groups? Dr. Proven, Kiguru, Derilson, working group 4. Any help you need from my side? Dr. Proven? Iguru, Caroline,
Hey Marco, I was part of work group 5. Can you please help me get there?
Oh, sorry. I can't reassign myself because I'm not the host or co-host. So I need you to make me the host or co-host so I can manage the reassignment of people. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm working on that. I tried to do that. So which group are you now?
I just want you to make me co-host so I can help you reassign people and jump on the working groups to check if everything.
Noted.
Are you there with me? Okay, so Kirubel, what is your working group? Kirubel?
You are co-host now.
Thank you. It's okay now. Kirubel, please tell me what is your working group? Is working group number 2?
5. Working group number 5. Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, not now. Kirubel.
Oh, and is it possible to change working group? I've been meaning to join working group number 3, but I was assigned to number 5. Is it possible for me to change?
You want to? Okay, just remove yourself from there. Let me reassign you to group number where? 3, right?
Yeah. I want to be part of group number 3. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
What is number 5?
I was on number 5, but I wanted to join 3 if it is possible. I was assigned to number 5. Though. Yeah.
Now you can join.
Okay.
Dr.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Daniel Woods, welcome. How may we help you?
Okay.
Kirubel, now you can join the group. Kirubel, now you can join working group number 3. Kirubel, can you hear me? Okay. So I'll just jump into the working groups to check if everything is okay. Okay.
Is anyone here?
Hello, anybody there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, I am Agnes from Working Group 4.
Yeah.
I wanted if you could help to enable sharing for one of our discussants. She's called Monique in Working Group 4.
Oh, I'm not the host, so
You know
I
the
can't do.
technical. Okay, is there any technical person here? No. Okay. Okay. Let me go back. I think I'll find somebody. Thank you.
That's all right.
Technical team, are you there? Technical team, are you there? Hello? Technical team, are you there?
Yeah, Marco, we can hear you. Yes, what is your problem?
I need you to allow Monique working group. I think she's on the working group 4. Yes, on the working group 4, Monique Lagot. You need to allow her to share the screen. Make her
Yeah, I have allowed everybody to share. Everybody can share screen in that group. But you're also a co-host, so you can do that.
No, I can't. As a co-host, I can't. I'll go there. Thanks.